I'll be doing a new segment to the channel, and the new segment is called Pain and Gains. So basically what pain and gains is, I'll be going through my profit and loss statement on a monthly basis. I like to do it monthly just because you can get more accurate numbers as opposed to weekly. The further you go out, monthly, quarterly, yearly, the further you increment the time frame, the more accurate the numbers you'll get. Because you can have bad weeks, good weeks. That doesn't dictate whether you're doing good and bad in the business. That's just telling you how you did for that specific week. So I think monthly is a good time frame to kind of gauge how the business is going. So pretty much I'll be doing it monthly. So starting off with the first month of the year, which is January, I was out on the road for 28 and a half days. So that's basically the whole month. I was gone the entire month. I started off strong just because, December, and then you had November, it had a lot of holidays. So I was at home for quite a bit. But I did have a good time. But now with the new year, time to get back on the road. For the month of January, I was mostly on the East Coast. My least favorite part in the area, East Coast. I hate the East Coast, especially the Northeast Coast. It seems like I spent so much time in the Northeast part, and when I get to my P&L, y'all gonna see it in my tolls. Y'all gonna see how much tolls I had to pay, and that was because I spent my whole lot of time in the Northeast Coast. But all in all, it was a pretty good month. Got some really good loads, some high paying loads, and that's thanks to the carrier I'm with. They don't have contract freight, but they have connections with brokers, and which that leads to me getting some good loads. So January is still a winter month, but thankfully I didn't have to endure any of the harsh weathers like some of the other truckers have. Some people get stuck out there, and it sucks. But for me, I'm owner-operator, so I get to tell them where I want to go. If I want to go here, go there. I'm always checking the weather in the winter, because I don't want to be sitting, somewhere in Wyoming for 3 or 4 days until they decide to open the interstate back up. There's only one time that I did catch bad weather. That was when I was in Chicago, but it was just for like half a day, but not too bad. But it is still winter, so I'll always be checking up on that. So I'm gonna start off with the truck and trailer repairs and maintenance. As much as I ran, I figured I would have had to got some type of repair, maybe a tire, something. Nothing. I didn't have no repairs on my truck or trailer. To go a whole month without it is a blessing. But some other expenses, miscellaneous expenses that I did have was my portion plates, which the company I'm leased onto, they start taking out money. So they charged me $2,000, and they break it down into 4 weeks. So within the span of a whole month, they are taking out $500 until it comes to $2,000. They're out of Illinois. I think they probably pay somewhere between $1,500 to $1,800, and then they just charge the owner operators for all the back end, filing paperwork, etc. They take their cut. They gotta take their cut. So they round it up to $2,000, which I've looked around to see how much a portion plates cost. Different states gonna vary, but it's around $1,800 for most states. And they did start taking it out the last week of January. So that'll be $500, and then the following 3 weeks they're gonna take another $500, until it equals out to be 2,000. And yeah, so there's that. Now we got so I'm gonna do the fuel breakdown, the miles breakdown, and then I'm gonna get into the P&L. So for the fuel breakdown, I have a 2016 Freightliner Cascadia. It averaged 7.09 miles per gallon for the month. For the whole month, averaging, that's the average, 7 mpgs. The average cost per mile was 50 cents. So that means for every mile that I run, it costs me 50 cents. And the average cost per gallon that I filled up at was $3.33. So, that basically means, sometimes I get fuel for $3, sometimes $3.70. So the average came out to be $3.33. The US average cost per gallon is $3.85, which, it's been going down over the last few months. The cost of fuel has been going down, so that's good. I was about 50 cents lower than the, US average. With the US average, they're taking every single state, into calculation. So I was under that, which is good. And the total fuel savings that I had for the whole month was $431. I was able to save $431 for the whole month, which is amazing because I can't remember the last time I had those type of savings when it comes to fuel. Now I'm fixing to do the miles, how many miles I ran, the breakdown of it. So I ran a total of 8,654. I deadheaded 960 miles. And total revenue for the month was 22,800. So that's what I grossed for the whole month, 22,800. So the thing with the carrier that I'm leased on with, so they give me a weekly statement. So for the last week of January, when they paid me, which is Friday, I think the last few days they fell into February when I was supposed to get paid. So I ran almost a full week that I didn't get paid for it until the following month. So that's why the numbers are looking a little bit down, because it's basically taken into calculation of 3.5 weeks as opposed to being the whole month, more like 3 weeks. Because in the next month, I'm gonna have basically an extra week of getting paid, extra miles, all that. So that was the total revenue for this month, 22,800. So the cost per mile was $1.51. Cost per mile, you have to know your cost per mile when you're running your owner-operator business. If you don't know your cost per mile, you don't know if you're going to be making money or not. So essentially, that takes into consideration how much, truck payment, insurance, fuel. Your cost per mile is the bottom line of how much you are going to run your truck at the bare minimum in order to cover expenses. That's to cover expenses. That's not to make a profit. So my gross per mile was $2.37. So that gross per mile is the average of all the loads that I ran and averaged them out to see how much I got paid per mile on all those loads for the month. So my cost per mile $1.51, my gross per mile $2.37. So that leaves me with the profit per mile of 87 cents. So that's my profit margin, 87 cents. That's before paying myself. That's what the business made before paying myself. So if you were to have an employee, 87 cents of profit minus, I don't know how much truck drivers get paid, 60 cents per mile or something like that. let's say you have somebody, you pay them 67 cents, 60 cents. So that will leave you with the profit margin of 27 cents for the month, which is not a whole lot, to be honest. So that was the miles breakdown. So next we're gonna get into the P&L, profit and loss statement, which, like I said, I grossed 22,800 for the month, and then I had some detention fees, which was 350, and that goes into my income. So I'm fixing get into my expenses. So I had a 12% carrier fee, which is how much my carrier charges me to be leased on to them. They charged me $2,946 for the month. And then I had some fuel card fees, which was $17. So basically how much the fuel card that I use, how much they charged me to be able to use their card. And then we got truck fuel. So I spent $5,691 with 8 cents on truck fuel and $142 with 81 cents on DEF. So the total of truck and DEF is $5,833. And then we have general business expenses of $12.82, which that includes memberships and subscription, which I believe the only thing that I have on there is my trucking GPS subscription. Next, I have insurance. I paid for bobtail liability insurance. I paid $391 for the month, and then I paid $1,000 even for cargo insurance, and then occupational insurance $140, which comes out to be a total of $1,531 for the category of insurance. Next, we have total job supplies, and I spent $36 on job supplies. Probably just, some equipment, gloves, something like that. Next, we have total office expenses, which I have the QuickBooks software. So that's what the office expense is, $31. Next, we have rent and leases. So for my trailer rental, I paid $1,200 for the month. And that's it for the rent. Tolls and parking. Check this out. Tolls and parking, like I said, I spent a lot of time in the Northeast coast. So for parking, I had to reserve parking one time, which came out to be $25. Then I have tolls. For tolls of the whole month, I spent $737 with 76 cents. I have never spent that much in tolls, but it is what it is. It's part of the game. You gotta pay tolls, especially if you're in the Northeast coast. $737 on tolls. That will eat up your profit margins. If you don't know how it is set up over there in the Northeast, if you're going over there blindfolded and you think you found a good load but don't take tolls into consideration, that's gonna eat your profits up real quick. And then I spent $27 on scales. Next, we have showers. I spent $8 on showers. Utilities, $260 on utilities, which includes my phone, my internet, and EOD. I'm getting a phone call, so I'll be right back. So yeah, utilities, $260 with 82 cents. And then the last expense that I'm gonna have, well, two more expenses, but the next one is going to be the portion plates, which they just started taking it out this last month, like I said. So $500 minus that. So that leaves me with a net income of $11,464 with 67 cents. But what is not included in the profit loss statement, which is included in the balance sheet, is the truck payment. So For my truck, I pay $1,523 per month. So after you take that into consideration, that leaves me with my true net income of $9,941. So for the month, I netted, which means I get to keep for me, is 9,941. And like I said, there was 1 week that is going to fall into the following month that I didn't get it for this month, but it's all right. So that'll reflect on next month's pain and gain statement. So I think, to me, I mean, that's pretty good. If I can get anywhere from eight to 10,000 in profits before I pay myself, that's pretty decent month. It's not the best month. Obviously we want more. We all want more, but how the current conditions are, we just gotta make the best of it. So y'all let me know what y'all think. It's pretty good, pretty bad. What y'all make out there? If you're not willing to share, if you're an owner operator, you're not willing to share, you know what? I'm not gonna go that far, because 90% of owner operators don't even have this type of accounting system set up. So I'm not even gonna go there. I do drive-in, so this is my number for drive-in. Obviously, if I was doing reefer or flatbed, they probably look better, but I do drive-in, so drive-ins at the bottom of the pyramid, but still out here making a living. And that is it. Let me know y'all's thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching the entire video. It really means a lot to me. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and stay healthy on the road. Drive safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.